Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys? So happy to be here, bringing you this really fun and easy to make. I call it my Fern Firefly card. If you can see that beautiful background, it's a fern embossing folder that makes fabulous fern imprints in the cardstock. You can see that there in the back. I thought it went really well with this bundle of products. I've also used this pretty cool die right here. It's from the All That dies, and it's quite a cool grouping of different labels and such. If you have not checked out this shape die set, it's a great one to add to your collection of shape dies. So check that one out. We are, like I said, using the Fern folder, but we are also using the Lighting the Way bundle. Mine is the photopolymer version. This is available in a red rubber version as well, the cling mount. So whatever you prefer is the order number you need to choose from. In the mini catalog, we have both order numbers in there. You can choose if you want it in red rubber or photopolymer. And let's go ahead and get started. We're going to make this fantastic little card. Okay, so our base is a piece of rich raspberry cardstock. I've scored it. It's 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it down the center at 4 1/4. We're gonna go ahead and make that crease there. I really like to use the bone folder because it helps my cards lay flat. You can go both directions if you want, but it really gives you a nice way to start assembling your card if it will lay nice and flat for you. I also have 2 pieces. Here is the one that I have embossed with the Fern embossing folder. It's a gorgeous embossing folder. And I have a piece of basic black, the same size. These are 3 3/4 by 5. And so we are gonna lay this black one in this direction and then the fern one on top in this direction to get a few layers, so you can see how easy that's gonna come together for us. So let me grab my silicone mat and let's put some multi-purpose liquid glue. Such a good bonding glue. I love to use it, especially when I'm using an embossing folder, because there's all those nooks and crannies, and this glue just works perfect with something like that. So let's go ahead and bring our card. We're going to slant this one in this direction, and when I do that, I want to make sure obviously it stays on the card, but I want it to be even top and bottom, like that. And I'm just gonna use the back part of my hand to really press that in place. And let's go ahead and fill all these little nooks and crannies with our wet glue. I just really feel that the wet glue bonds so much better, especially when you're using embossing folders. This one we're going to toggle the other direction so that the black peeks out there. Okay, and we're gonna find our piece. Now I raised it up on this card with dimensionals, and I wanted this time to just lay it flat so that you could see the difference. So this one is getting attached flat. This one was with dimensionals, but I think they both look great. All right, we are going to stamp the words "You're all kinds of wonderful" on our green medallion here from the All That dies. Here it is, and it's garden green is the choice today. As you can see, it's in the top kind of right corner of that circle, if there is a corner in a circle. I'm gonna go ahead and ink that up. Make sure that it's nice and wet. I'm gonna bring this down so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna put it in, like I said, the top right side or corner. If there's any corners on a circle, this is the corner you want. You can just see it's off center. It's not exactly centered because I wanted to have room to tuck it. There you go. That's what I mean by the top right corner. I wanted to kind of tuck it in that corner of the card, and so I offset it when I stamped it. Let's go ahead and clean my stamp. I'm going to show you how to assemble the little the firefly, or the lightning bug, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to show you how to assemble that. Let's put this off to the side. It's going to go over there. We also have our lantern. This is from the die set that is part of the bundle. So here's my little lantern, okay? I have a scrap piece of vellum that I'm gonna use back here behind our lantern. So let's go ahead and adhere that, and that way it can start gluing down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some wet adhesive down here at the bottom and some up here at the top. And obviously these little lines are real small, so I'm not gonna worry about those. I'm just gonna lay this down, and then I'm gonna have to trim it once it sets, which is why I wanna go ahead and attach that by putting that glue at the top and the bottom, and let that set, and then we'll trim away the pieces that stick out just in a few minutes once that's set. Let's go ahead and assemble our dragonfly. So you need a black top. This is a parakeet body for his little light, and vellum wings, and it is these three parts. Here's the wings, the body, and the light. So you have three parts so that you can use that die. I'm telling you, they did a fantastic job with this die set. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach a little bit of glue to the top part of his light and put his little body on there. And the cool thing is it lines up perfectly with the body. So you can attach it on there and it fits just perfect. And then if you put a little glue right here in the center of that section and you attach this black part here at the top, it also lines up perfectly. And there's your little firefly. Okay. Let's put some dimensionals on the back of him or her. I'm actually going to be using the ends. Let's use this piece here, because I want to just put it down the center section here of the body. I'm going to set this off to the side. This piece here should be stuck. So let's go ahead and trim. So basically I come from the back here and I'm just trimming away the pieces that stick out just by sticking my scissor under here. So there's that side. Let's get this last section. By not putting adhesive on the thin pieces, it allows my scissor to be able to come in here and slide behind that and trim. I think I have one more small little piece here sticking out. There we go. All right, so there's our lantern. Now that it's been trimmed, let me get our little extra pieces out of the way. I'm going to stamp a light in the back, just like I did here. We're going to use Mango Melody, and I'm going to stamp it from the back side of the vellum. Now vellum, kind of the ink sits on the surface, so you need to let it dry a little. And so I'm gonna go ahead and ink that up. The stamp set has these 3 little circular lights. They work really good with the 3 sizes of fireflies. And I'm also using this large one right now for the lantern. So I'm gonna go ahead and just stamp from the back, right there in the middle. And I'm just gonna let that sit. And dry. While I'm letting that dry, we can go ahead and put dimensionals on the back of our lantern piece, but let's go ahead and clean our stamp first. Okay. So for the dimensionals, we are going to use some whole pieces and then some that I've trimmed off. So let's grab one up here. Oh, and I wanted to share with you that we do have dimensionals that are black. They're pretty cool, right? So in the bottom part of this lantern, you kind of have slits here. I don't know. Let me see if I can put the color behind it. And you can kind of see that color going through these 2 slits. So I'm going to actually use these minis in black so that if they show, it'll be a black color and it won't deter too much from it. Now I'm going to put another one up here. And then for the edges, I'm going to use white because that's not slit. And I want to be able to trim the pieces like I did for the firefly. So I'm going to just cut edges, and I want it to be really secure even on these thin areas. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the edges. Just like this. So I'm going to pull those. We're going to start adding them to our piece. Remember, we're waiting for that center to of the mango to dry. So this is the perfect time to do this section. That one lost its backing. It happens. Let's put one more. All right. So this main lantern, this is our main focal piece right here on the card, right? But let's go ahead and attach our sentiment directly on to our cardstock. Again, fill into those nooks and crannies on that textured embossed surface. I'm going to use this wet adhesive. I'm going to stick this in the corner here and just make sure that it's straight. Now don't use these wonky pieces to line up. Use your main card piece, and if you need to hold it up and down and make sure that you are straight, you can do that. So there is that piece. This is going to be lifted up, and I'm going to have a few pieces that are underneath. This piece here is a little sprig, so I'm going to trim this end off, discard it, because we're going to attach that like so behind our lantern, and we don't want that end piece sticking out. So let's go ahead and put adhesive on the back of that. Grab my tweezer, because whenever I put this much glue, It's always a little scary. So I'm gonna lay that there and get that to adhere to my card. The lantern is gonna go over the top of that, just like so. I really love this card. I think it turned out so well. So that's how the lantern's gonna be. You can see I haven't stuck it down yet. I'm just placing it. And we're gonna put 2 more green pieces. These are also garden green, stamped with garden green, and then die cut out. These are this particular leaf. There's 3 different leaves in this stamp set, but that's this one. This is the first one that I used over here. I haven't used this one on this card, but I've used 2 of this and 1 of this one. And so these are gonna actually get attached underneath the lantern. So I want them to be attached like so and sticking out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and use a dimensional to hold those in place. So I'm gonna put a dimensional here and 1 at the bottom, and that will hold that piece. So that one's gonna sit like so, okay? And I can also use these edges to attach behind the leaf section, okay? And then that way, those pieces will not fall. So there's that. There's our first one. Okay, and now we're going to put another one over here. This one is going to stick out like this from this side. So what we want to do again, oops, I missed that one. Let's lift this dimensional off and layer it over the top. Oops, so I've pulled the sticky off of it, so let's get another one. And then we're going to adhere 1 more to hold this piece in place. So it helps to have those dimensionals. And you can see that by saving the edges of the mini dimensionals, you have a lot of versatility to put dimensionals on the backs of pieces that may not be able to hold a mini or regular dimensional using these little edged pieces. I'm gonna get 2 more, and then we should be ready to stick these guys down. So let's put this one here, and 1 more right here. All right, let's pull the back off. I'm pretty sure that that should be dry by now. So I'm gonna grab my Take Your Pick tool and pull all the dimensional backings off. That's done. That one, let me try another dimensional piece there. That one, I think when I lifted it up, it flipped its little backing up and it got stuck to the back. There we go. Oops. Almost done pulling them off. 2 more. Oops. Come here. 1 more. This one right here. All right, and then instead of using embellishments on this card, I wanted the mini fireflies to be the embellishment. You'll see in a second. I think this piece here has to be moved over. There we go. All right, so let's stick our little lantern on here. Make sure that all of our pieces fit on our card. Stick our lantern first. That looks good. Let's make sure our leaf here fits on our card. There we go. If you have dimensionals that stick out at all, you can always push them in with either your take your pick tool or your paper snips. Both of them are rather pointy and work quite well. All right, so there is that. Like I said, I didn't think that we needed embellishments because I chose to take the fireflies and make them the embellishment. So let's go ahead and put this little firefly right here. Curl the wing a little. Kind of bend it in place. There we go. And let's add these baby fireflies. I stamped them in rich raspberry on basic white. We're going to use mini dimensionals if I can find them. Sitting here on my desk somewhere. Here we go. So these little fireflies become our embellishment. There we go. Let's pull the backs off. And then these 3 little fireflies will be our embellishment. And the final finishing touch is going to be to add a little bit of Wink of Stella. So we're going to put up one up here by the words, one on this side. You know, we like to do triangles, right? And then let's add this one onto our lantern, maybe from this side. There we go. So there's our 3 triangular shapes. And then let me grab my Wink of Stella. Let's put some on the wings. Let's go along these veins on the wings, which will give a little glistening. And then of course we got to light up the back end. Let's add a little bit on these wings also so they kind of glisten. I love Wink of Stella because it's such a subtle but sparkle. So pretty, and it's perfect for the firefly. And then let's do the inside of our card. So for the inside, we're going to stamp the swarm of fireflies, and we're going to also add a firefly to the inside. So let's do the swarm first in rich raspberry. There we go. Such a cute stamp. I love that it's like a whole bunch of them in that swirl. We'll clean that. I'm going to put a black firefly on there. So we're going to use the largest one in the stamp set. And let's use Memento. So here we go. Nice and inked up. Let's put our firefly this way. Perfect. Love that. And then let's add some blending to that little swarm behind that firefly. So let me close our ink pad here. Let's get our parakeet party out. And let's blend just a swarm right along that little firefly swarm right there. Pretty cute, pretty cool. All right, that should be good for me. Is it good for you? I think it turned out pretty good. Happy with that project. Let's put that to the inside. Grab my silicone mat again. Wet adhesive to the rescue. And this is a 4" by 5¼ of basic white cardstock. I'll reiterate the measurements again for you guys. So the main piece of Rich Raspberry was 5½ by 8½, and we scored it at 4¼ to fold our card in half. And then our 2 pieces on the outside, the embossed layer in the Fern 3D embossing folder and the basic black outside piece, those were 5" by 3¾ inch. I used scraps of garden green to do the leaves and the label, scraps of basic black for our lantern, a scrap of vellum for the wings and for this inside section of our lantern, scrap of parakeet party, and basic black for the rest of that firefly, little scraps of basic white for the baby fireflies. And then for the inside, this white, basic white, was 4 by 5¼ So those are all of our dimensions for this card. I hope that you enjoyed watching me put it together and that you will make a card similar to this using this fantastic bundle, Lighting the Way. It's such a great set of products. And when you pair it with the Fern 3D embossing folder and the All That shape dies, the effects are fantastic. Thanks for being here. This is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!